Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of the review of House of the Dragon, I guess. This may be the mark of the beginning of this series and the end of the podcast series, but we will keep uploading them as is. Now, first things first, I wanted to go ahead and get out of the way. Y'all know I always got to say first thing, things be great. Now, we open up to a scene where you have the late Corlys Velaryon's wife, Rhaenys Targaryen, sitting on the throne while she's doing her best to make up for his absence because they just announced that Lord Corlys has died in battle and it was an ambush that was set up for him or somewhat, and he died off screen. Now, you have Vaemond Velaryon here stating that he should be the one at the seat on the throne because he is royalty of the blood of Velaryon blood. He's the last of the real Velaryon blood. So why would he not be on the throne? And I kind of agree with him. But at the same time, of course, she did her best to stay by the king and do her best to become queen for many a year. So it's almost her right to become such. But still, she's a Targaryen, and he's trying to make sure that the Velaryons stay alive. And at every turn, the Velaryons were taken down, ruined, and mistreated, and just ruined. I can't think of another word by these Targaryens, and they just won't let up, and they're constantly doing it over and over and over and over and over. Now, of course, as he expresses the way he feels about this, there's a pushback and she doesn't agree with it, and her being the active queen right now, she tells him no, you can't be king. And he's like, all right then, well, you're literally just stepping on the name of Velaryon and you're ruining the blood. That's not the right thing to do. And of course she doesn't consider his words, but she thinks about it in private. Next scene, we have Daemon here going through these cliffs and climbing through caves in order to find a huge pile of, it looks to be like dung or like covered dirt or whatnot, but it turns out that it's like 3 dragon eggs, brand new, sitting in this cave wherever he may be. And he brings it back to these monk-like dudes who take the eggs to wherever he told them to, and said to place them in a warming chamber. And then he was immediately, it was brought to his attention about what's been happening at Driftmark and how Baela has summoned him. Of course, the next scene, you have Rhaenyra. She enters, and here's the thing about Rhaenyra, bro. Like, every time you see her, she pregnant, bro. She be, like, every time she inhales, she got a baby inside her. This woman don't do nothing but breathe and get pregnant. Anyway, I ain't judging her none, and I'm not shaming her. But good Lord, I don't respect this character as much as the other women. Like, I just don't. I have no reason to. Even I respect Alicent way more than her. I respect Rhea, despite that, Daemon killed Rhea. That sucks, you know what I mean? But, like, these were way better female characters. And the late wife of Daemon, Lena. Now, and Lena, she's dead. But all of the most respectful women have died. And or either just get slighted or mistreated like Alicent is being treated. And women like Rhaenyra and Rhaenys and onward, they just keep getting rewarded. It sucks. Anyway, so here she is. Daemon brings her the news, and she said that, well, we have to go. And he touches the baby with some assurance, and they say, okay, we have to go to King's Landing. Now, on their way there, by boat, the very first thing that come to mind is, how is everyone going to feel about this? Because it's been another time skip, and the children are like, say, probably 3, maybe 4 years older. They didn't really make it clear. But what would the people say of her returning with all her bastard children? Like, is it just going to be accepted with open arms or what? And the tension builds as such. She didn't even feel comfortable at the palace because everything's been changed around since the king fell way too ill. Alicent rose to power, and she was the one who started running things in his stead, which she's been doing a dang good job, honestly. I mean, like, I ain't even going to get mad at her. Like, she's really killing it, sitting on the throne and being who she is, and at the head of the council. Now, of course, you have the council discussing, the usual things. The treasurer is speaking of, well, I don't know if he's a treasurer, what is it, the accountant, I guess. But yeah, he's speaking of the funds of the crown and everything that the kingdom has to offer and whatnot and what they owe, while they get interrupted and they are informed that Rhaenyra has arrived and it's time for her to enter. And blase. The hand of the king, of course, is speaking with him about things, and everyone knows that Princess Rhaenyra is the problem, but they don't want to say it because because out of fear of getting killed by the king and whatnot. But they're just like, we hope you can handle this, blah blah blah, in more ways or less, you know, in much less words. That's basically what they were saying. And now we get to see in this next scene, the first time we see King Viserys after another time skip. He's not gone just yet, but he is not looking good at all. He was worse than he was last week, y'all. His fingernails look terrible. His skin is discolored even more than before. His face is gangly. His teeth are rotting and black. His eye is completely missing. And his health is just at its worst. And of course, Rhaenyra goes to see her. She greets her and Daemon. They do their best. Daemon can't really look at him because he looks so pathetic and, you know, in a bad way. It's hard for him to look at his brother in that way. Understandable. And I still don't know if I hate Daemon or not. It's I don't like him, but I don't know if I hate him. Anyway, you have the king doing his best to tell them that he needs to know what's going on, like keep me up to date. What happened to Lord Corlys? And of course, Rhaenyra is just like, you know, trying to pacify him and tell him not to worry about it, and, you know, still being manipulative, of course. While Daemon, you know, he addresses him and says, who are these people, blah blah blah, and she just brings in the children. So she brings 2 more kids to his bedside to show him that she had 2 more kids. One was named after him as Viserys, and the other named, what was his name? Aegon, another Aegon. So of course, you know, that won him over. It's like, oh, baby named after me. Oh, it's a name fit for a king. And everything else just melts away. He just forgets all the other important stuff. He just immediately forgets. And it's kind of sad to see, honestly. Like, I hate to see it. But anyway, he immediately gets overcome with the pain and he says, please, my tea, hand me my tea, my tea. And, you know, Daemon obliges. He goes and gets the tea for him and hands it to him, but then he takes a whiff and he says, And at this moment, I believe that's when Daemon realized that that tea was actually milk of the poppy. And of course, those that know, milk of the poppy is basically like a liquid made from poppy, the poppy plants, where it's the same plant that made, you know, that's made for hard illegal drugs today. So it's not really used for medicine in today. And if I am incorrect, because I'm not in the medicine field, but it's probably used in very small doses. Now, of course, in the very next scene, you have Alicent going to talk to some young servant girl, and she's just scared out of her mind. Like, the girl's like, her soul is leaving her body. She's so afraid and doesn't know what to do, what to say. She's just crying. And she's like, I don't know what to do. He just forced himself on me. It wasn't my fault. I didn't want it to be that way. I did it. And I'm like, wait, what is she talking about? And suddenly you can realize that she's talking about Aegon, which the original Aegon, by the way, the eldest son of Alicent to King Viserys. And they're like, what? I'm like, wait a minute. Like, are you kidding me? So apparently Aegon decided to force himself upon this young lady, and she's afraid for her life because she never wanted to do so. And now you have Alicent paying the girl off to keep her quiet and then forcing her to drink not sterilizing, but I guess you say the morning after drink. It's supposed to be a tea that they use. It's supposed to be the equivalent of the morning after pill of today to basically subvert pregnancy, just in case. And she sends her on her way. It's crazy. And the very next scene after, she goes straight to Aegon. Aegon's literally not taking anything she says serious. He's just sitting up sleeping, not listening, being rude, being disrespectful. And he just wouldn't admit that he did it. And he's like, oh, it wasn't that big of a deal. It was harmless fun, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, why would you bring shame to your wife? Why would you bring shame to me like this? Like, what is wrong with you? And he just wouldn't listen. And she slapped the piss out of him, of course, which I enjoyed very much. I think I rewound it like twice. Let me see. Yeah, that was a good slap. So anyway, I had to go look at it again. And honestly, like, this kid is just a mess. Like, he just won't listen. He won't get better. He's just been the same piece of crap since he was a child. It's crazy. And the only one of her children who have any sense is her daughter, but she's more like cryptic and like philosophy type of girl. She seems like she's more on the ethereal magic side of things. She might even be a warg, who knows? I'm just talking, so don't take that as a fact. But of course, Aemond is the other one that has sense. He was constantly bullied by Rhaenyra's children Of course, the treatment that Rhaenyra's children has done to the Targaryen kids is what made them that way, honestly. Being treated different or treated like they're less than or treated like they're not worthy, you don't have a dragon. Like, all of them were looked down upon, so it makes sense. Now, of course, in this next scene, you have finally Alicent is speaking for the first time in a while with Daemon and Rhaenyra. And Daemon and Rhaenyra just came up to Alicent with a bunch of accusations like, why did you change the symbols all over the kingdom, and why is King's Landing looking so different, and all the things that you did? And it's like, you must be trying to take the throne from father. And then she just like, I'm gonna go because I was told to something she said, like, the grace that my husband's taught me is to forgive you for your accusations, and to walk away. Because Alicent literally is not trying to take the throne from him. She's not trying to kill him or nothing. All she's done was be good to her children, teach them as best as she could, be good to her husband, and take care of him, and look after the kingdom. She's being so queenly. Oh my, Alicent is the GOAT, bro. Like, I love me some Alicent. That's my favorite female character in this whole show right now. So anyway, moving forward, you got look at this. Right out into the King's Landing practice area where they were practicing to learn to fight and sword fighting in the past. Here they are again, and the kids are like reminiscing and seeing how they used to, make little mistakes and this and that. But also, Jacaerys and Lucerys, the two children of Rhaenyra, they're also the strong bastards as well. They speaking to one another, and they said everyone's looking and judging me because they know that I'm supposed to be the heir of Driftmark, but I'm not. I look more like Celaena Velaryon. I don't. They said they know that I don't look like Celaena Velaryon, and that's what's making me all nervous. Blah blah blah. Because they're older now, they look nothing. They look like nothing but Strong's children. They have the brunette hair, and they don't have the white hair. So it's obvious to everyone. Every time they see them, the gossip gets to flying. Makes sense. And then apparently there's a sword fight going on in a friendly spar, and they go and run to see what's going on. And apparently, it's your boy Aemon Targaryen, which, you remember the one who stole the dragon last week. He over there getting it. I'm talking about actually good at this sword fighting thing. And he's got an eye patch over the lost eye that was slashed when he was a child when the kids were fighting. And he's still good with a blade and actually cold at it. He went one-on-one with, what was his name? Kristen Cole. He went one-on-one with Kristen and won a sparring match. So he's nothing to play with. Like, he literally he's nobody's joke anymore. And I want to see him rise up and actually crush these strong bastards. Anyway, now let's see what happens. The next scene. Oh my lord. The very next scene, right? Guess who walks to the door? Yeah, it's Vaemon Velaryon, Corlys's brother, and he steps inside the kingdom in order to, address the council. And he's worried about the preservation of the Velaryon blood, of course, because he's the last living Velaryon heir that's around. Now, the thing about it is they discuss it and whatnot, but what they don't know is Rhaenyra is like working her inner workings around and putting snakes slithering in people's ear behind their backs. So of course he's like working with her in as best as he can, because she's the only voice of reason right now and the person that would listen and actually make sense happen. She's the best. Alicent is the best candidate to make sure that the kingdom is running healthily, rather than having to be torn down by somebody who's irresponsible with not only herself but also with the people that she interacts with. Not to just give it to a sociopath. Now, of course, at this very next scene, you have a discussion with Rhaenys, who, Corlys' wife, Rhaenys Targaryen. She is speaking to one of her granddaughters. I think it was Rhaena Targaryen. Yeah, speaking of Rhaena, and she said, "You did a good job raising her. She's beautiful." Blah 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 blah. And of course, she goes to speak to Rhaenyra, and Rhaenyra is, of course, laying it on thick, trying to win her over with her niceties, you know, and basically just whispering sweet nothings to get her on her side. And she's like, oh, I loved your brother. He was great to me. And she's like, I don't believe you, whatever. And then she said, I came to make you an offer. They said, Bela could be queen of the 7 kingdoms and have her marry one of my sons. And she goes, well, that's a generous offer, but it sounds desperate. And she's like, well, why does it matter if it's generous or desperate? And he said, well, you're right, at least. And she thinks about it for a minute, and she said, well, it does not matter, but you can bargain with me, but tomorrow the High Towers land their first blow, and they'll force you to your knees, and I must stand alone. So, of course, she's like, you know, I disagree. That's basically, in less words, she was saying, yeah, do all that if you want to, but I don't agree, and we're not having it. Put a pin in that for later, because it's something later gonna piss you off about that, but remember that, okay? Because that's very key, it's very important. But once Rhaenyra found out that she couldn't turn Rhaenys, she goes to her daddy one more time, and she's like, Father, I need you to bend the rules for me once again so that I can be a responsible little shit. So, you know, he's over here like literally almost dying. And she's just like, is that song of Ice and Fire true? Is it true? It's like, must dream. You must have a dream. Aegon's dream. And then he, wait. Now, here's the thing about this. Because I need to go into detail real quick. Now, the first detail is he is on his deathbed and yet she is still being manipulative. She goes in and she says, Father, I don't think that you told me that we were supposed to work together to unite the forces of our house and fight our common foe and never let them win and blah blah blah. And she's like, but I thought, and when you named me the heir to the throne, you divided the realms, and I thought I wanted it, but it is a heavy burden. It's too much of a burden to bear, she says. And she's going on about, you know, how she don't want to handle it and whatnot. And then he just musters the strength to say, my only child. And what he means by that, of course, is that if you look at the kids he had, Balon Targaryen is dead. Rhaenyra's mother is dead. The only children that he has now are the descendants of Alicent Hightower. Okay? And that's Aegon, Helena, and Aemon. She's the only adult child that he has. It's all he has, and he keeps having to pressure it onto her, and she keeps running away from this responsibility by being reckless, but he has no choice, and it's just being ugly in this fashion, honestly. So in second detail, he goes, well, listen, you are the only child I have, but she goes, well, if you want me to bear it, then defend me and my children. And he's just like, you know, he's being twisted in so many ways, and he can tell. It's like he can tell, oh my goodness, she's manipulating me again. But, you know, being a father, he'll do anything for his daughter. But ultimately, he just had to let it be known that you are really stressing me. Without even saying a word, he like, you are stressing me out. Like, you really are. And she just starts crying. The thing, and here's the last detail that I gotta break down. The thing that's showing right now is Rhaenyra is actually powerless, and she's been empowered to a dangerous degree because of her father. And she's getting desperate at this point because she's starting to realize that if her father dies, then that's it. And it's probably the reason why she's been going around sleeping with so many men of royalty as well. She knows that if he dies, no one cares what she thinks, says, or what. And that's why it's in her best interest to keep Daemon so whipped so that he can defend her in her stupidity. Now, in the next scene, of course, the king is being cared for by the maesters. They're doing their best to try to help ease his pain or cure his ailment as much as possible. And yet, he's just not completely lucid. He's saying that he wants to have dinner, but it was like early in the morning. And he was saying, tonight, I want to have dinner. I want everyone there, my entire family. I want us to dine together. And they sit him up, and it's the most painful thing to look at. He's incredibly malnourished. He's so skinny and very, like, he's looking in a real bad way. So he's talking to the hand, and the hand's doing his best to try to, you know, ease his pain. He said, I'll fetch you milk of the poppy. And the king says, no. Just arrange the supper. And so he decided to just weather the pain and deal with it. So, of course, the hand sits up, and he sits on the throne and tells everyone, all right, speak. The crown will hear the petitions of who shall be the kings and queens of the respectful kingdoms that are ruled under the Iron Throne. Carry on. Now, the first one to speak, of course, is Vaemon Velaryon. And Vaemon made it known that he's the last living Velaryon of the bloodline. He needs to be the king of Driftmark and commanded, so that he's been also not only prepared for it, but it is his right, which I agree. And in the middle of him talking to the Hand about his case, Rhaenyra's spoiled ass starts talking, going on about, well, as it does my sons, if you cared so much about the house's blood, so Vaemon, then you would not be so bold as to supplant its rightful heir, because she want her son to be the heir. She want Jacaerys, Lucerys, I think. She want Lucerys to be the king of Driftmark. And she just, going on and interrupting. And then it took Alicent to be her mama and say, listen, you only speak for yourself, and you will have your chance to make your own petition, Princess Rhaenyra. Do Sir Vaemon the courtesy of allowing his to be heard, aka wait your turn, because ain't nobody talking to you, heifer. Shut up. And she was right, and she had no reason to open her mouth, but see, she did that to try to get everybody else to listen. And then Vaemon ain't whipped by her. Vaemon don't answer to her daddy that much, and he is there for Velaryon. He don't give a damn about what Rhaenyra talk about. So he over there he turns around and he say, what do you know of Velaryon blood? If I cut my veins to show you, you still wouldn't know nothing. He said, this is about the future and survival of my house, not yours. And then he turns around, goes back and said, excuse me, as I was saying. So, he goes in and he makes his argument as to why he should be the king of Driftmark and whatnot. Now, the very next moment when he gets done talking, the doors open, and suddenly you see a cane and a very limp and hunched over, very weak body, and a crown on its head with a mask covering the right side of his face. King Viserys himself doing his best to hobble into the courtroom, and get in onto the throne. And as this entire thing happened, it was very cinematically pleasing, but also the music is amazing. So as it all happens, everyone could not look him in the face. They couldn't even look him in the eye. The only person that looked him dead in the eye was his daughter, because she wanted to manipulate him. And here he is, just to defend her. And he goes, I will sit on the throne today. And the Hand goes, your grace. Now, of course, the only reason that he's up there suffering in the way that he is because of her. This is another thing that shows that she doesn't care about the health of her father. She just wants to keep using him and using him and using him up, just so she can manipulate and get her way into where she wants to go. Now, as sad as that is, here we are, Daemon helping him, because he almost fell and the crown fell off his head, and Daemon helped him up and helped him get onto the throne and put the crown back on his head. So he sits up and he goes, I'll admit I'm confused, but I don't understand why petitions are being heard over a settled succession. I already chose the heir, so it shouldn't be no question. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So he already said that the one that should inherit is Princess Rhaenyra. So he called up Rhaenys, told her to speak her piece. And this woman had the nerve to disagree with Rhaenyra in marrying her children with hers. But then she says that his first trueborn, Lucerys of Velaryon, the Princess Rhaenyra has just informed me of her desire to marry her sons to Lord Corlys' granddaughters, Baela and Rhaena, a proposal which I heartily agree. I'm like, what? You just disagree with her in her face, and then you gonna turn around like that? Oh, wow. Yeah, that was so disgusting. And then the king agrees to it, even worse. The king agrees to it, lets it happen, and they go along with it, and everybody's like, oh, and Vaemon is just disgusted, and he goes, what? You just gonna override hundreds of years of tradition and put your daughter as the heir? And then you gonna have the nerve to tell me who deserves to inherit the Velaryon kingdom? No, I ain't finna take this. And then he gonna say, you will take it. Do not forget yourself, Vaemon. And Vaemon said, forget this, and started snap. He said, that is no true Velaryon. And he pointed right at Lucerys. And he said, and he ain't no nephew of mine. He goes, and then he goes, Lucerys is my true-born grandson, and you are no more than the second son of Driftmark. And he goes, you may run your house as you see fit, but you will not decide to be to the future of me. And he said, the gods be damned, I would not see it ended on the account of this. And then Daemon looked at him and said, say it. And he looked dead at Daemon with a smirk. And he looked straight at him. He said, her children are bastards. And everybody in the courtroom goes, oh no. And then he goes even further from the violence, and he goes, and she is a whore. And all of them like, oh, everybody ready, waiting for it to pop off. And suddenly the king stood up and took his dagger out of the sheath, and he goes, y'all have your tongue for that. And then weak ass Daemon come up behind him and just gonna cut his head clean off right from behind him. And everybody like, what? And he just let it happen. And they all like, yo, why would you not like defend it? Why would you not stop it? Blah, blah, blah. But then, you know what I'm saying, somebody insulted the king's daughter. He a little pansy. He let his daughter run all over him and ruin his kingdom. Here we go. So they just let it happen. Another black dude dead for no reason. Because one, okay, I was just about to make a joke reference to something in real life past. But we're not going to do that. We're not gonna do that. Okay, so anyway, in the next scene, that bothered me, y'all. Y'all know that bothered me. That bothered me. That bothered me a lot. Like the Velaryons have everything been taken from them because of these stupid. It bothers me. Okay. So anyway, now the queen is sitting here looking at Vaemon's dead body as the maesters are doing their best to prepare him for burial and whatnot. And yeah. Here she is saying, the stranger has visited me more times than I can count, Maester. He cares little whether my eyes are open or closed, blah, blah, blah. You know, she's sitting there acting like she don't care, knowing she does. But anyway, very next thing, they're at this dinner that he called for, that the king called for now. In this scene, you have a group of musicians in the back, of course, to provide music, and everyone, they stand in order to welcome the entry of the king as he sits at the table with the rest of the family. And of course, he said it's supposed to be a celebration of some kind and everybody's supposed to get along and all that. But it's very tense. You can cut the tension with a knife. No one's really getting along. And you have King Viserys sitting here acting as if the things that are breaking these people apart is not him and his daughter. So they make a toast. He said, let's take a toast to Prince Lucerys, the king of the king of the tides or whatever and whatnot. And then of course Aegon decides that this is the time to be an ass, because the king announced that Helena will be married. All of his kids, Aegon and Helena will be marrying two of Rhaenyra's children, Jacaerys and Lucerys. And when that was announced, Aegon leans over to Jacaerys and says, "Hey, do you know how it's done? Intercourse. Like, you need me to teach you what you should do, blah blah blah. And just keeps poking fun at him being a virgin, I suppose, which is very immature, to be honest." And of course, here's King Viserys, making it known that, hey, we are here to actually get along and toast to one another. So please let us celebrate us being together. And he decides to show everyone his face, and he takes the mask off and his entire eye is missing. So when I saw that, I was like, boy, goodness gracious, I bet it smelled crazy in there. So he looking like one of the mummies from The Mummy, and he's over there talking to people like it's just normal, like it ain't nothing wrong with it. And he's just fussing at them and tell them, hey, I've been the king, and let's let things go. No more ill will toward one another, blah, blah, blah. Also, another thing to note, the side of it, like his cheek, his right cheek, you can see clear through it, and you see like the sinew and muscle and everything on the inside of his jaw. Just, it's terrible. It's very terrible. But anyway, Rhaenyra makes a power move and decides to stand up and say, I really respect you, the queen, and everyone, and I see that you've done nothing but good. Take care of my father, and I'm sorry, and you are very good to him, blah blah blah. So of course she doesn't believe that, and she's just saying that so everyone else can see her try to be nice to her. But It didn't really work. Like, everybody knows that she's full of it. People should know that she's full of it by now. So anyway, I raise my cup to you in your house, says Alicent. And of course, Alicent returns the favor. Alicent is, just trying to play along and keep things, happy-go-lucky so it won't be any noticeable tension. And of course, everybody's, trying their best to get along, but the kids are the ones that really can't. And the one that kicks it off once again is Aegon. He goes and whispers into Baela's ear and says, "Hey, I regret the disappointment you are soon to suffer." And he goes, "If you ever wish to know what it is to be well satisfied, just let me know." And of course, Jacaerys gets up pissed. He hits the table and he's about to he feel like he want to hit Aegon in the throat. And I feel like he should. But anyway, he controls himself and he just, immediately goes, "Hey, I want to give a toast myself. And this is to Prince Aegon and Prince Aemon. We have not seen each other in years, and I have fond memories of our shared youth. And as men, we hope to be friends and allies. To you and your family is good health." And, it seemed nice. And he let it go. But the very next thing is this, and this was a highlight right here. This is a highlight right here. Helena decides to get up. And she said, "Hey, I want to give a toast to the relationship between Aegon and Rhaena." And she says, "He's not all that bad. You'll be married soon. Mostly he'll just ignore you, except sometimes when he's drunk." And she goes, "Oh, okay." And then the hand of the king. Alicent's dad is just like, "Good girl." Like, good job, my girl. Like, get him. So very next thing, you see the king's just tired of it all, so he's just like, "Okay, play some music." The music starts playing, and honestly, the violin, everything in it, the strings are amazing. It sounds amazing. I loved the music in this moment. It was just really, 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 really good. And as the music was going, everything was silent. People were getting along, eating, talking, laughing, joking, dancing. And the king looks around and he sees it all, and he starts to fall ill. He's just getting dazed and, really not really holding his head up that well. So as he looked around and saw everything, he's just like, ugh. It's almost like he noticed just how bad the kingdom was ruined under his rule. And he got so much in pain and sick that that moment, he just couldn't. And of course, Alicent immediately notices and tells the guards to take him back to his room. Rhaenyra didn't move nor blink an eye. She didn't even notice that her father was in pain. The only person that noticed was Alicent, and she immediately told the guards, "Hey, get him out of here. Go take care of him." It shows right then how much better Alicent is as a character and as a queen. Like, she's just the best, man. She's the best. So in this same scene, the very next thing that happens is a full roasted whole pig comes in and they place it on the table. And of course, Joffrey decides to have a little laugh. And Joffrey is, of course, the youngest, used to be the youngest son of Rhaenyra, but the youngest of the strong children by Rhaenyra. And he started to laugh, and in that moment, Aemon got a flashback to when they took an entire pig and dressed it up to be a dragon, say, "Hey, we got you a dragon of your own, man. Here you go." And they were bullying him and whatnot. But now it's different. Aemon is not a little weakling anymore. He's not scared of them anymore, and he's not passive anymore. He is ready for smoke. You can tell every moment he's gearing up, ready to cut somebody. He always got his sword on his side. He's got his badass eye patch. He doesn't care about any of them. And they scarred him to where he lost his eye. He is dripping with the thirst of revenge. And he stands up immediately and he said he wants to propose a toast to Luke and Joffrey. Each of them handsome, wise, strong. Let us drain our cups to these strong boys. And of course, the reason he said that is because their father is actually of descendant of House Strong. And that's hilarious. So yeah, Harwin is their father, Harwin Strong. And wait, where's Larys? I hadn't seen Larys this episode now that I think about it. Harwin's brother. He's the last Strong alive that we know of. But anyway, Yeah, and they was all mad. It's like it was only a compliment, and Jacaerys decides to walk up and punch him in the face. Bro, Aemon just shrugs off that little punch like it was nothing, like it was just a finger pluck or something, and just pushes him down with no effort. He just falls down like, like it was hilarious. And then Allison goes, "Why did you say that? What was you doing?" And he was just like, "Oh, I was merely expressing how proud I am of my family, mother. And thought it seems as my nephews aren't as proud of theirs." And so, Damon steps in and is like, wait, just stop that. Go to your quarters, all of you. And Damon walks up, looks at like Aemon in the face, and he just starts to smile. Damon looks like, huh. You know what I'm saying? He's like, huh. And then Aemon like, stared him right back down, but then he's the only one to walk away and then look away. He was like, okay. And of course, Damon was there to defend his kids or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna do my kids like that. But Damon also knew. He was like, boy, I respect you. I respect you. You grew into a fine young man. It was a weird little, exchange right then with no words. It was crazy. But anyway, Alicent walks up to Rhaenyra and she's just like, "You need to rest. You've just arrived. You gotta, get off your feet and blah blah blah." And she's like, "Yes, I'll return on Dragonback." It's like the king and I would both see to it. And the very next thing that you notice, someone's walking in. It looks to be the town of sorts, and they're in a full cloak, and there's this woman dressed in all white. And they just, start exchanging words. And I don't know who these women are, but I guess they will tell us soon. And yeah, that's about it. It seems that she was reporting back to her or telling some information to her or what. I'm not sure. But in the next scene after that, immediately, because it didn't last that long, you have, of course, Alicent is bedside with King Viserys. And she's giving him the milk of the poppy in order to ease his pain, because he's just in all types of pain. He's just grueling and pissed and just agony. And it's very hard to look at. But it finally calms him down and he starts to talk. And he says, "Do you remember Aegon?" And she goes, "Our son?" And she said, "His dream, the song of ice and fire. It is true. What he saw in the north. The prince that was promised." I don't understand this series. The prince. Prince Aegon? To unite the realm against the cold and the dark. It is you. You are the one. You must do this. You must do this. And right then, he falls silent, and Alicent looks away and she thinks to herself and she says, after stroking his chin and his cheek and with loving eyes, she says, "I understand, my king." And the episode ends right there. So of that, the scene pans out to a close-up to this Velaryon dagger, and then goes back to the king saying to himself as he clenched his hand, "No more, my love." And that's the end of the episode as it fades to black. Now, here's my entire opinion of everything that happened here. So the way I feel about it is you have Rhaenys being still faithful to the Targaryen name because she was married to Corlys just to strengthen the kingdoms of the Iron Throne, just to strengthen the Iron Throne. So Corlys was the Velaryon that married to the Targaryen in order to make these descendants. But the problem is all of the Velaryon descendants ended up either dead or, sent away just out of plans and scheming by Daemon and Rhaenyra. Now, what's happening at this moment is the Hightower family, being Alicent and her father Otto, they're doing what they can to make sure that Alicent can keep navigating this kingdom, because they are doing too much to try to undermine her and, make her seem like she's not to be trusted and whatnot. And it's very alarming, I gotta be honest with you. But I think this is gonna be good, because honestly, if you really think about it, if you really think about it, everything that they're doing from here is it's basic politics, but Rhaenyra is trying to achieve what she does not know how to do by manipulating bloodline. And Daemon is doing the same thing, because he took the Royce kingdom by not only marrying his wife but also killing her after, with no children to bear. Then he goes and marries a Velaryon, Laena, Corlys' daughter, and after having 2 kids by her, leaves her high and dry after she X'd herself out. Excuse me, I don't want to say that word. And anyway, now You have all of these children. Look at this. Look at this. You have all of these children in this latest generation. Baela Targaryen, Rhaena Targaryen, Jacaerys Velaryon, Lucerys Velaryon, Joffrey Velaryon, Aegon Targaryen, Helena Targaryen, and Aemon Targaryen. These children are the ones, the only ones that are going to be able to fix all of this mess that Viserys and Rhaenyra had created. That's literally everything. And the only hope is Alicent Hightower Targaryen, the queen. And honestly, I don't know what they're gonna do, but they gotta figure it out somehow. But anywho's, that's my complete understanding of how this is going so far in my review and recap of this episode, which is episode 8, The Lord of the Tides. And can't wait to see next week's episode. Hope y'all will be here. And if you enjoyed everything that you heard and saw this week, go ahead and give it a like. If you want to see some more, then yeah, subscribe so I can give you some more in a week. Won't take no time, you know. I'm gonna be here. Will you though? And give me a comment if you had any opinions on all the things that was happening. Just tell me. Give me your own take on what's going on, because it's great to hear your opinion. Now, of course, I gotta sign out with the channel motto: intentions are the most important. Actions ain't nothing but loud, and words don't mean a damn thing. Y'all take care of yourself, and peace.